You know how there's that fake thing when you meet somebody, you're kind of like, oh, and I'm this way, and I did this, and everyone's kind of like posturing, and that's just kind of a waste of time, I think. So let's not do that, and let's just, in a nice way, let's get it out that this is who I am and what I'm about, and then we can get to business, and maybe we'll be friends, and maybe you'll not want to be my friend. Maybe you'll call me later with needing to know about how do I quit drinking.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's so
I don't
true.
know. Maybe you'll have a photography question. Could be anything.
It's going to be a really neat behind the scenes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird.
Because something always magical happens.
Wait, what? Did you just make that up? Hey, it's Meredith for Real, the Curious Introvert. Listen each week as I talk with someone new. The topics are as ADD as I am, but they'll inspire you to stay curious and grow.
Big thanks to our location sponsor, the UWF Historical Trust.
Hey, Curiositors, it's me, Meredith. So what is this episode about? Well, at first, I wanted to cover the meth addict part of Sean Murphy's life. And then I thought the gay porn part was intriguing. But then there's the photography part and the part about how all of it came about. The truth is, no one's life is about just one thing, and very few people have an ultra-linear black and white life path. What I love about Sean's story is that he doesn't try to polish up any one part of any of his story, and he accepts that he's not for everyone. In this half of his story, Sean talks about how his journey started with $600 and a shipping container, and how he got into photography and drugs, and how a failed MTV Real World audition was the perfect setup to become the photographer to some of America's top bands. Also, if you listen to your podcasts loud and proud in front of God and Grandma, you might want to put some earbuds in for this one. Not safe for work. And if you're listening to this and you haven't yet connected with me on social media, what you waiting for? Come on over. I need to know ya. It's Meredith for Real on all the platforms. Okay, on with the show. You might say my next guest has lived a lot of life. He's an award-winning photographer who's worked with Weezer, Kid Rock, and Dr. Dre. And his clients for advertising include Adidas, Google, Jeep, and Nike. But his life wasn't a straight shot. It really wasn't even a bumpy road. It was a dramatically winding road of barely graduating high school to finding his passion for photography to shooting gay porn, meth addiction, rehab, and now. I met Sean while on set for Boat and found he has an openness to people and a deeply rooted acceptance for wherever people are at in their life at that moment. I was intrigued by his story and his outlook because here's the deal. Anyone can have a story. It's a whole other thing to have lessons. And today he's going to share both. 9 years sober, teller of tales, dad to 3 ridiculously handsome boys, Sean Murphy. Welcome.
What else is there to say? You just can I use that
Yeah,
on my
sure.
website?
Totally.
I just wrote a new bio, but that sounds way better.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm glad that you like it. I was trying to remember like how your story even came up when we met. Was I telling you about how my uncle owned a lot of the strip clubs in Panama City?
Probably. I mean, I don't know how it always happens pretty quickly. I don't know if I do it on purpose, but there's like a knack of, I try to get it out, like who I am somehow in the beginnings, just so people will get it. Kind of like, I don't know how to explain it.
Is it like a litmus test? Like, let's see how you handle this information.
Something like that. Or also just from being alive a while, I've just noticed that the quicker it comes out, the quicker people, we all kind of get past this. You know how there's that fake thing when you meet somebody, you're kind of like, oh, and I'm this way, and I did this, and everyone's kind of like posturing. And that's just kind of a waste of time, I think. So let's not do that, and let's just, in a nice way, let's get it out that this is who I am and what I'm about, and then we can get to business, and maybe we'll be friends, and maybe you'll not want to be my friend. Maybe you'll call me later with needing to know about how do I quit drinking.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's so
I don't
true.
know. Maybe you have a photography question. Could be anything. So.
Well, I appreciated it. I was very, I found it obviously very interesting. I don't invite boring people on the podcast. So let's start with your story when you graduated high school. Take it from there.
So I'm from Fort Walton Beach, mostly. My dad was in the Air Force, so we, of course, moved around a bit. But the majority of my childhood through high school was Fort Walton, through elementary, through Choctawhatchee High School, Pryor Junior High, Kenwood Elementary. So I consider myself a local, even though when I've been in LA for 26 years, and I got a little shit when I'd come home. The locals here would give me a little crap, like I'm somehow not a local now or whatever. But I'm like, dude, like, where are you from? Like most people here are transplants, I find, anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I graduated from Choctaw, moved to Hawaii pretty quickly when I was 18 to be on I was on the surf team, and my best friend and I moved to the North Shore to surf. We lived in Haleiwa and surfed big waves for a while, and I'll kind of skim through it because we don't have a lot of time. I mean, I could go down any one of these roads for quite a bit. But the goal was real quickly, the mindset of us when we were 17 was, we're going to move to Hawaii. We have $300, we have $600 each. We can buy a town and country surfboard, because that's what we always wanted, and we saw in the surf magazines, and we can live in a storage unit. And we already the storage unit's like $50 a month. We'll jerry-wig our wire with a light bulb. We'll get jobs. We'll surf all day. We won't even go there till the night, and then we'll sneak in at night. That was the plan.
Right, the logic of an 18-year-old.
The logic. We ended up working at Wendy's and living with this uniquely crazy gay dude named Tim Cherry, who we always talk about. He was a neat guy to live with right out of high school. He was older, like 40, and he always had a gun and spying on us in our bedrooms, and he had neat stories, and so it was a cool experience. Then I moved back to Fort Walton for a short stay, and then to Orlando with my brother, who went to UCF. And I couldn't get into college, so my mom said, if you go to UCF and hang out with Pat, we'll pay for your car insurance. Or they lured me somehow. Mm-hmm. So I took a community college course at this Hispanic, it was Valencia Community College, but there was an East Campus, which is primarily like, I don't know, Hispanic, Puerto Rican type vibe. And I was taking some art classes, and then I kept trying to get in this photo class, but it was always busy, because I think people, when you're taking classes, you want to take the photo class because that's the easy grade, right?
You think it would be easy.
You think it would be easy. But I took that class, and I get chills every time I say this, because I remember I walked in, to me, it was this really old dude, and he was crippled. His hands were visibly crippled, and he had a limp. And he kind of made light of the fact that he used to shoot for Life magazine and this and that. He was a war photographer and he was up there. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then he gave us an assignment, and the assignment was, take a picture of something black against something white. And it was about the zone system, teaching us how to meter light, something like that. And then I had a girlfriend who later became my wife, but at the time was my girlfriend. I remember painting her face white like a geisha, best I could, getting a bag of charcoal briquettes and chopping them up to a fine dust and laying her head in a box and covering around her face with briquettes, and then the light, bright sun and shooting down. And that was my first photo. And he took a shine to me, and then halfway through the class said I should leave, that this place didn't have enough to offer, and I should go somewhere else to New York or Boston, which I did. And at the same time he said that, I think we were talking about the other day, I was at a club downtown Orlando, like 4 a.m. on ecstasy. And there's these two weird chicks dancing on the stage. This is like 4 a.m, everyone's left the club kind of thing. And these two chicks are just dancing. And I start talking, and they're like, no, we're not even on drugs. And I was like, that's random, And they're like, we're from Maine. And I was like, Maine? Where's that? And they're like, and we're going to Maine in next week. And I'm like, I'll drive. And so I drove them to Maine. And on the way, we stopped in Boston, where they introduced me to some friends of theirs, and my teacher had just mentioned Boston, so I'm like, that's where I'm going to go. So we came back from Maine. I saved some money, talked my girlfriend into going, but then we drove a U-Haul to Boston, and kind of, I don't want to say the rest is history, because that was weird too, because I didn't even know where I was going to go to school. And I was just on a subway and saw one of those a little piece of paper that said, learn photography.
On the subway?
On the sun, on like the T, which is their subway there.
Uh-huh.
And I pulled a little piece of paper, and I had this little portfolio that I had done in Orlando, and I walked up this old staircase in Kenmore Square, and it smelled of chemistry, and I was all fired up, and I brought in my portfolio, and they were like, cool, man, like, let's do this. And I took out a loan. I think that school was, and it wasn't much, $7,000 a year.
Oh my
maybe,
gosh.
something like that.
That's crazy.
And I worked at the Marriott, and like, it was awesome. And I did really well in that school.
So what happened to your friend, the one that you went to go to Hawaii with, was surfing?
Danny Rhymes, he's my best friend still. He lives 2 blocks from me now.
No way!
Hell
He
yeah.
came back too?
He came back. He joined the military. He was Special Forces for many, many years. He was in a lot of wars.
Huh.
Super badass. We all just kind of made it back here. He trains kids to be in the Special Forces.
Oh, wow.
People that are thinking about it, he trains them to prepare for it. That's his job now. So he's a badass. And he lives 2 blocks from me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And where does Frank Zappa fit into all that?
Frank Zappa, you're skipping way ahead.
Am I skipping?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
No, that's okay. So where are we at right now?
We're at Boston, and you're in college.
I'm being conscious of our time.
I know, you're good.
Driving here, I was like, an hour? Like this? Shit, man. I better skim through this real quick.
It's okay. It's okay. The treasures and the details. I'll keep you on track. So
So from Boston, I graduated from Boston, and I had my girlfriend, my brother, and his girlfriend all decided, let's move back to Hawaii. Let's give it another shot, because we were tired of the snow, so we moved back to Hawaii. The goal was I was going to start working. There wasn't much in photography there in Honolulu at the time. It was the film days. This is 1993. So I did manage to get in with Honolulu Magazine. That was my first kind of gig. I tested at modeling agencies and surfed, but mostly got involved with the gay club scene and a lot of cocaine. Oh. And that kind of was a bummer. Like, I remember having, some minor overdoses, and I mean, it was like a 6-month period of a lot going on, and I was 24, something like that, 23, 24. Anyway, The Real World, the show The Real World,
yeah.
For all of you old people out there,
hey,
they were doing.
I am of that age,
but you were like probably season 8 by the time you.
Oh, I wasn't allowed to watch it. Let's be clear.
So they were doing one in San Francisco, and this was where you had to like send letters,
yeah.
And so we sent whatever the process. We were watching MTV, and they're like, send a letter about yourself with some photos, and we sent it in, and like months went by, a couple months. And my girlfriend calls me at work. She's like, "Oh my God, they called back. They want you to take more pictures or something." And so we did photo shoots, and then we sent more pictures in. Then another month went by. "Oh my God, they want you to do a thing in San Francisco, a reading or some kind of thing." And so I'm like, "Fuck it." So I just packed my shit and I went to San Francisco. Left my girlfriend in Hawaii, and I got there, and then the time. They didn't fit. I was the right age, but I wasn't going to be the right age when it aired. So they're like, "Oh, you're going to be 24. You're going to be 25 in the lot. You can't be older than 24, something like that." So I was in San Francisco, and it wasn't going to happen. But I was there, and my mentality. I saw these old Vespas riding around, the old cool scooters with the mods and all these neat-looking people, and I was like, "Man, this town is the coolest town I've ever been in." And I had a credit card with like $1,500 on it. I was supposed to go back to Hawaii, and this is where it's a little fuzzy, but I bought a scooter. And then I bought a Vespa for like $1,200.
On the credit card?
On the credit card. And then I just called my girlfriend and said, "I'm staying. You can stay there if you want." I was kind of like, I don't know where I was at relationship-wise, but I was like, "Oh, you can stay there if you want, but I'm going to stay here. That's where I'm going to be." And so she came anyway, and we stayed in San Francisco. And that's where it all just kind of took shape, you know.
You mean that's where you like... was the nucleus for, I think. It like, San Francisco was, especially in the early 90s, was such a rad place. And it was kind of affordable. It was before the .com thing happened, and I worked at this. I was actually, one of my roommates was from Hawaii that I met in Boston, named Malia. Hi, Malia. And we were all roommates in this really cool Victorian house in North Beach. And she got me a job where she was working at this place called the Phoenix Hotel, which is the raddest. It's still there. It's in this place called the Tenderloin, which is this really sketchy area on Eddy and Turk. And it's a motel. And it's in this dodgy area, and it's fenced off, and there's this really neat pool, and it's kind of surrounded with this 2-level motel. It looks like a motel, but it looks cool. And there's a restaurant it was called Miss Pearl's Jam House, where we all worked. And every band that ever goes through San Francisco, whether it be, you know, Nirvana to any band, you name them, as big as they can get to as small as they can get, they all stayed there. And I was always the guy, and you could wear and dress however you want. So like you had a red pompadour with all these cool clothes. Everyone looked like rock stars that worked there. And I was starting out photography, so I would meet these bands, and inevitably they go, "Hey man, I remember." There's many. I could tell stories about this place for hours, but highlights. I would get them drugs, a lot of them. Around the same time I was going to these gay clubs, I met these guys, Riley and I'm drawing a blank, his boyfriend, Richard. And they started Surface Magazine. It's around still. It's a big magazine now. It's very glossy, kind of like a high-end, you know. But at the time, it was just a newspaper print, kind of about what's happening in San Francisco and whatever. So I met them at a club, and I was also working at Phoenix Hotel. And they would start saying, "Hey, can you shoot, you know, Blondie or Tears for Fears or Tricky or this band or that band?" Who's they?
Richard and Riley, sorry.
Oh, okay.
And so they were giving me all these kind of bands. So I would shoot, say, Tricky, who was one of my... I love Tricky. He came to the place. I'd shoot him by the pool, and then I'd wait on him at night.
Oh, my gosh.
They would trip out. The Catherine Wheel. I shot them in L.A., then they came to San Francisco. We partied. Then I'd wait on them. You know, the Pogues. I mean, there's so many crazy stories. Or I'd be waiting tables, and Shane McGowan from the Pogues would be passed out on the table on a heroin bender with like one tooth dangling out. So no one would wait on him. But I was like, I idolized the Pogues. It's like, Shane McGowan is my freaking idol. And he would sit there and go, "I want to smoke cigarettes." And I'd go, and I'd have a full station on a Friday night. And I'm like, fuck it, dude, watch my station. I would pick him up, put him in my old Volkswagen, and I just remember the cold air coming in my car, him, like that scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off when they're driving the Ferrari over the hill, and we're going over these hills, and he's got his hands out the windows screaming, and I'm looking over, and I had tied him into the seat because I didn't have a seatbelt, and he's just like, "Oh, fucking ah!" And I was like, "This is Shane McGowan's in my car. This is the most cool thing ever."
That's so cool.
So those kind of things happened all the time,
And so that's kind of like where your band photography really started, but it started because you happened to be working at... That's what's crazy about your life to me is like you have all these connections and they have led you to this, and you are always in the moment, it seems, to recognize the potential in those moments. You know, whereas like I get hyper-focused and like, okay, now it's time to go on and do the next thing. I become like a factory of this is what my routine and this is what I do. But you're like, "Oh, hello, new person." And then you just zero in, and it's like, I don't know, it's just different the way that you recognize, I guess, the people around you. It's just neat. And your life tells the story of what that has manifested because of your ability to do that.
Hey everyone, just a quick interruption to show gratitude to our sponsors and give you some special deals. the UWF Historical Trust. We shoot the show in the Museum of Commerce and the T.T. Wentworth Museum. And not only is this an amazing step back into the 18 and 1900s, but it's an event space too. How cool is that? You can see everything at historicpensacola.org. If you want to tour one of the 12 museums, and yes, Pensacola has 12 museums, and you get your tickets in person, show the ticket agent one of my emails and you'll get $2 off an adult ticket. You can get emails by texting REAL to 66866. So I don't have kids, but I also want to tell you about It's Your Magazine. They're a national family-centered publishing company with free parent magazines. They have parenting advice, events, and inspiration. I'm actually in a networking group with the publisher, and this guy is all about family. You can view a free magazine in cities in Texas, Oregon, Washington, and Florida by checking them out at itsyourmagazine.com. And INSEC. So I've always felt iffy about pesticides. Then the mosquitoes got so bad, I would get covered in them from walking from my house to the car. I called INSEC, and to say I've been impressed is an understatement. When the treatment wasn't quite doing it, the owner actually came to my house. He found the breeding sites, identified the species of mosquito, and adjusted my treatment to that species. That's when I found out he's also a beekeeper, and pollinator issues are always top of mind. So if you're in the Florida Panhandle or Gulf Coast of Alabama, give him a call, ensec.net.
And Dr. Rob Thompson in Pensacola, Florida. There are a million chiropractors in this town, but Dr. Rob is different. He doesn't just give you a crack pop and a slap on the ass. I mean, that would actually be really inappropriate. His pledge is to provide fast, efficient pain relief with no drawn-out treatment plans or surprise bills. Since COVID, we all got 99 problems. Don't let pain be one of them. drrobchiropractic.com.
Now back to the show.
And I think that's people, I get calls daily, kids or people around there, can I come talk to you about photography? Can you give me some advice? Can you help me with whatever? I mean, we're all in the same boat. It's really 90% of like being a successful at whatever it is you're doing. You know, everyone has their own path. There's no guidebook to get to it. But for me, it's been that. I grew up shy and somehow at some point in time realized that I had dimples, and if I told a joke and I was funny, and my granddad said, just smile at the girls. All they can say is no. Sometimes they say yes, and people love that. Everyone likes to be said hello to, whether they're a stranger. And that shit worked, and then it just became, and I enjoy it. My wife said the other day, we were somewhere. And we pulled up somewhere, and I broke the ice with some people that weren't into what we were doing. And she was just so mad. She said, how do you fucking do that so quick? Like, it was like within 3 seconds. Like, you just find it's kind of a curse too, because I can't focus on anything because I'm just always in that moment. So it's just But yes, it all has brought me to this moment now, which. It hasn't changed. It's the same thing. Now I'm just in Fort Walton finding all the freaks in Fort Walton, and I love it. Yeah. So oftentimes people go, there's nothing to do here. And I'm like, oh, man, this place is a gold mine.
Well, I think it depends on what you consider the gold, right? Like, for you, the gold is like the people, the treasure is in their stories. And so to you, you're like, this place is great. You know, like when we were shooting for Boat, we went to that little coffee area in Fort Walton with the food truck type stuff. And I think... you ran into 4 people. One of them was Rafi. One of them was your wife. But I think we ran into like 4 people that you knew while we were there shooting. And because we were gonna, I think, be there for pretty short stint. We ended up being there for like an hour and a half. Yeah. So I understand what you mean about it taking a while, but I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a gift, and it's kind of what this podcast is about, is recognizing that. Because even though I have that habit of, getting in a routine, when I'm in my best, when I'm my best self, I see people like that, and I am curious. I'm just curious. That's the best way to describe it. And I have FOMO about everything.
Me too.
So I'm like, what if, like, if you don't speak the same, like, if we don't speak the same language, I'm like, let me get my phone. We'll Google this. And I have to know you. Like, it just bothers me not to know people. And I want to encourage people to look around them, because I do the podcast and they say, well, where do you find all these people? Kind of like, well, 4 Wild and So Boring. Well, no, they're everywhere. You just have to talk with them and then listen and just put your guard down, and they're there.
Yeah, I think, I also have a thing where Rafie's like, if she catches me relaxing, I took a nap yesterday for like 2 hours. She's like, oh my God, it's sleeping, in the middle of the day, which I worked all day on a Sunday, but there was 2 hours where I tried to watch TV and I fell asleep because we had been working a lot this week. And I just can't stop. I love it so much. And if there's a day where there's nothing going on, I panic. Like, what the fuck? Nothing's happening. The phone's not ringing. Well, nobody stopped by today. What's happening?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of, that's not great either, I don't think. The balance is off with me in a sense.
Well, I definitely want to talk more about that in our second segment, because I have some thoughts about that that relate to like dopamine in the brain. Okay. And
I have none left because I used it all up on meth and ecstasy.
No, that it maybe, well, I mean, I'm not an expert and I've never done ecstasy, but that, from what I've read, when you engage the dopamine centers of your brain, whether it's through social media at a young age before your brain is developed, or through drugs that fire that dopamine, or even like high-risk activities that could be drug-free, that it changes how fast the pace is in your head. And if your external pace doesn't match your internal pace, it causes like an unsettledness. And so people who like really busy lives like to live in busy places. And none of this is original to me. This is like, I probably heard it on another podcast. Right. But in our second segment, I'd love to dive into that, especially as it relates to your temperament and the drug stuff and all of that. So when we come back, we will dive into the second segment of Sean's story. And if you're not already subscribed to my email list and you want to make sure you don't miss it, just text REAL to 66866 and you'll get part 2 in your inbox. Awesome. That's a wrap.
Are you still listening? Just kidding, of course you are. Since you're here, here's some ways you can support the show. Stalk me on social media, leave a review, share an episode with a friend, or check out my Teespring page for delightfully sarcastic apparel. Links are in the episode description.